Dare to dream a bigger dream.
All right, welcome. This is my first official session for what I'm calling Dare to Dream. And I am a business coach. My name is Kim Eichhoff. And what I have discovered as being a business coach for the last 10 years is that I love finding out what people come up with to make a living and to support themselves and their lives that they really want to live and the lives they really want to live. What I'm particularly interested in is talking to entrepreneurs and business owners who are people who are creative, bringing something new into the world, trying to share something positive, change the world in some way that lights them up as a part of their purpose and makes life for them more exciting and fun and happy and joy filled. So that's what this video is going to be about today. So we're going to start today with Julie Brookins. She has her own business, and I'm going to let her introduce herself. And then I have a few questions for her. So would you like to do kind of a basic introduction, Julie, on who you are, what you do, and why you do it?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Julie Brookins, and I actually have been an entrepreneur slash self-employed for a lot of years. I started while I was still in college, somewhere around 93, 94. So I'm not new to being an entrepreneur. However, I am new to the journey of entrepreneurship, really, truly lighting my soul on fire. I started there, found myself away from it, and now finding my way back to it. And it's been an awesome journey. And with Kim's help, this has been actually quite helpful. With that, I've actually shifted from a creative industry into the health and wellness industry. And I'm really passionate about that because I consider myself a quality of life warrior. I absolutely believe in everybody following their passions and finding a way to make money at it, because then we're not always feeling like we're working all the time. And so ultimately my journey into health and wellness started because of a dog. I have a habit of rescuing older dogs, and she was all different kinds of sick. And my journey led me to find things that really worked for her and worked for humans. And I found that I could have this huge impact on human and animal health and how that participates in our quality of life. I think that we should do things that we have fun doing and enjoy doing, whether it's being physical outside or just bird watching or whatever our own spirituality is. All of those things are just a huge passion for me. So this was something that I could do to help with the physical and emotional health side of our quality of life.
So what made you venture into, because you said in college you started your own business, like what made you venture into that? And then have you ever had kind of a corporate job or a business job for somebody else?
So yes, I have had a corporate job. Starting in college, I went to art school. It was a traditional four-year university that also had an art school. So you had to do all of the math and the English and the business classes and all of the things that go with a traditional four-year university. Then I also, on top of that, added art school from the same university. So I got a huge education, a broad variety of education, not just an art school education. Within that, I started recognizing in myself, I'm not exactly a rule follower and I'm great with structure, but I'm not great with other people's structure. I started recognizing early on that I was not a 9 to 5. And if I saw a more efficient way to do something, I wanted to be able to do it that way. I didn't want to have to follow, well, no, this is how we do it. I wanted to be able to change or evolve or be creative in just finding solutions to things and be more efficient instead of having to do it because that's just the way you always done it. So I started freelancing while I was still in college. Fast forward, my career took me on an awesome journey, and I got bought out by a company in another city. I grew up in Michigan, and the second largest pre-press packaging house in the world wanted my skill set. And so they said, we'll pay you this money to you can kind of freelance on the side as long as it's not a competition with what we do. They're the largest in the world, whatever. So I did keep freelancing.
We're always worried about competition, I guess.
I did keep freelancing. However, I was there probably 7 months and decided I hated corporate America. It wasn't my thing. It didn't work for me. Too many politics above me. I was set with, didn't matter how efficient I was in my job. I still had to be there X number of hours. I was the only person in the company that did what I did, who was non-union, who was allowed on the union floor because of the relationships I could build with people, something that's not recognized at the corporate level. And then another thing that I found was I had to work on their hourly schedule regardless of how much work I had done. And I was the only person who could meet the contract requirements for a worldwide company to be 98% right the first time. So I was the only reason they kept their contract. I never saw it in pay. I never saw it in vacation time. I certainly didn't see it in flexible hours. And I was a salaried position. So all of those things kind of piled together with, I'm miserable. I have no free time. I quit the job. And
yeah, that was actually going to be my next question. So what started happening inside of you, right, that started telling you, hello, Julie, or tried to alert you, right, that this is not what I want to do?
I started feeling bored, and I started feeling that I was lacking challenge. I wasn't growing as a person. I wasn't growing in knowledge. I found that I couldn't show up as myself. I had to be this predetermined version of a person that corporate America wanted to have show up. Specifically, that company wanted to show up. They wanted me to be smart, but they didn't want me to push the boundaries and problem solve. They wanted me to fulfill a contract obligation versus build a relationship, so that the contract was built on the contract was built on a relationship, not a set of stats and numbers. They just wanted me to meet that, and that felt very impersonal and cold and lacking connection.
So you were very aware that the longer you stayed there probably, and the more you tried to play the game, it sounds like kind of the more unhappy you got, the more frustrated you became, and like just generally not happy with what you're doing.
Yeah, it was costing me emotionally. I was limited to vacation. I love to travel. I was living for the weekends, 2 days a week. I couldn't wait for Friday. I would boogie out at Friday at 3:30. I would drive my 45-minute drive home. I wouldn't move my car for 2.5 days because I could go everywhere where I lived by public transportation or foot or whatever. And I would just live it up on the weekend, and Monday would roll around and my energy would plummet.
I had a friend of mine who was in corporate America, and he told me that on Sunday afternoons, about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, this depression started to sit in, where he was just like, oh, I got to go to work tomorrow. And it sounded awful, like this very wet, almost wet blanket, I guess, ruining the rest of his day, right? He still had half a day left, but just dreaded the next morning.
I was thankful similar? I got out before that set in, but Monday morning was getting harder and harder.
Yeah.
And the writing was on the wall, and I recognized it before I got to the point your friend is describing. However, my husband went through that. He left his career because of that. So many heart attacks happen on Monday morning because people are miserable in their jobs and they hate them. And I just didn't want that to be me. I was in my late 20s, and I'm like, I can't spend the rest of my life like this. This is not any sort of quality of life. Living for 2 days a week was not any sort of quality of life.
Yeah, for sure. So you took a jump and you walked away. What did you do when you walked away?
I sold everything I owned, with the exception of my car. Wow. I packed my dog up and into my car, and I drove what few belongings I had, some clothes and odds and ends of things, back to my home state and dumped that stuff off with my sister. signed every single check in my checkbook, and drove around the western part of the United States for 2.5 months, living out of my car. Just literally, like, I know people in Albuquerque, I know people in Phoenix, I know people in San Diego, and I just would go visit and find places to camp in between. My sister made sure my car payment was made. My sister made sure my phone was made. Not the old, this was an old school cell phone. This wasn't
Right.
because I had an old school Atlas to get to drive around.
Right.
And I did that for 2.5 months, just like, this is what life is supposed to be about: experiencing, meeting new people, eating food I wasn't used to, just doing different things. And I was out of money, $8,000 in debt, went back to Michigan and said, I'm going to move to Colorado.
All right. So you fast forward to Colorado, and then what happened?
I actually put my first and last month's rent, or the deposit, whatever they call it, on my credit card. Did not have a job. I applied for jobs, had a job within 2 weeks. And thankfully I had a really awesome skill set that I brought with me that was brand new to Denver. And so unfortunately, no one could afford me and the salary I demanded. So I actually negotiated a lower pay, but with 6 weeks vacation.
Very nice.
Because my free time is valuable. And so I basically worked a lot of 4-day weeks and spent my weekends in mountains, mountain biking, snowboarding, doing the things that I enjoyed doing. I built the department to be an amazing department with employees. It went from a department that was operating in the red to a department that was operating in the black, and then added employees and saved the company a ton of money. The owner made some bad financial decisions. He decided he wanted to let 2 people from my department go, and I took that as an opportunity to go back to being self-employed. So I worked for him for 2 years.
So, okay, so now you have a health and wellness business. You want to share a little bit about what you do now, and then I have some questions following that.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So now I talk to people and teach them that the body has the ability to heal itself, and that there are nutritional compounds that will actually activate the body to do what it does naturally. And those processes are things that get slower as we age, and they don't have to. So my perspective is this: the current statistics are 87% of people 65 and older have 1 to 5 chronic medical conditions requiring some sort of pharmaceutical support. I feel like that number should be flipped. I really believe it should only be 13% of people have these chronic medical conditions at 65. 65 is young. I'm sorry, but I feel like 65 is young. And too many people are going into 65. That's our health span, 65. They spend the next 20 years in and out of the hospital, not enjoying life, can't go travel or do any of the things we want to do, because they're dealing with all of these medical conditions. I watched my own dad in and out of the hospital, my grandparents in and out of the hospital, and that was no quality of life. And so I really work hard to help people take their health out of the hands of other people and take ownership of it. Take it out of the healthcare system, take it out of the hands of your doctor. Yes, there's a time and a place for all of it. Completely support all of that. That being said, we can really be empowered to own our health, and that's what I want to help people do.
Yeah, I love that. I think right now, right, we're in the middle of this pandemic, as they call it. It's obviously very sad if you get sick, and obviously very sad if you die from it, or people you know have. But I also feel like it's sort of a wake-up call for a lot of us, as far as, are you taking care of your health as well as you can, right? Or have you turned it all over to somebody else, doctors, whatever, or just kind of continue to do things that are not certainly very healthy for you. They're, heart disease issues, that is, a lot of it is reversible, or diabetes and things like that. To me, this is a time where it's screaming, okay, how do you improve your own health, and how do you take care, especially your immune system, right? How do you boost it because that's kind of all we have defense-wise against what's going on right now. And the stress that this is causing is wreaking havoc on immune systems even more than they already have. So kind of what do you see as maybe positive coming out of this pandemic, if that makes sense? I mean, there's, I always like to look for what is the positive that we can look for in these really hard times. But
yeah, I do think there's a lot of positive that's going to come out of this. I think that specifically related to our health, we're going to realize that, yes, our businesses are important. Yes, money is important. Doing our job is important. However, you always hear people, one thing you can't get back is time, right? Well, you can have all the time in the world, but if you don't have your health, time doesn't matter. Because I really believe that our health is the basis of our existence, and our ability to go do any of the things, follow our dreams, all of those things. And so I'm really optimistic that with all of this, we are going to actually take a closer look at what we're doing to feed our health, because all our choices, every single choice we make, is either feeding health or feeding disease. So whether it's stress, financial, spiritual, food we eat, where we choose to live, family interactions, negativity, letting go of, it's forgiveness. I mean, there's so many things that feed our health.
The relationships we choose, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. All of it feeds our health. So I feel like people are going to start looking at, are the choices I'm making have a positive impact on my health or a negative impact on my health?
Yeah, for sure. I hope so. I mean, I got into wellness coaching when I was 30. I was a yoga teacher, personal trainer, and all that. And the thing that I kept seeing was that people just, it was somebody else's, I'll do the things I'm supposed to do, right? Work out 3 times. But there was a lack of, I don't know, they didn't see the value in taking care of themselves that way. Like they had more value than that. So why wouldn't you take care of yourself? And I don't do it perfectly all the time either, by any means. I mean, I think it's a struggle for a lot of us on some days, so, but yeah, that mindset shift, I think, has to happen at some point. Do you see that with people? Like maybe they start off in a certain place, but then once they shift that mindset, it clicks as far as taking care of yourself.
Yes. And just so you know, I have issues too.
We all have issues.
None of us are perfect at taking care of our health. This is absolutely from a genuine space of, I have done the bad things. I have my things that I do when I'm having a day where I don't want to be healthy, or I just, whatever. But it's the thing that you do most of the time, right?
Yeah.
Like, I love tequila. I don't drink tequila every single day with every single meal. I have moments where I think it would be great, but I don't do it.
Right.
But here's choices, right? I can drink tequila and use margarita mix, which is high in sugar, high in chemicals, high in a whole bunch of other junk. Or I could drink tequila on the rocks. Much healthier version of drinking tequila. Like, it's all about choices. You have to find balance. I'm not saying don't enjoy life, right? And I think
you gotta enjoy life.
I think that's where people get stuck.
Yeah.
They think that it's all or nothing. We're never, ever going to be 100% all the time making healthy choices, but there are piles of decisions we're making every single day that one slight shift in one direction would make it multiple, like what is that? Magnified, healthier.
Yeah.
Exponentially. Right. That's the word I'm looking for.
Exponentially,
healthier,
yes.
With the slightest shift in one direction. And there's a lot of things that we can do that way. So yes, it does take buy-in. You have to, it's a choice. It's literally a choice. And I feel like more people are making the choice now, and they're buying into it, that their bodies, that they have the ability to heal. Their bodies can do more than we've been programmed to believe. And that healthcare, our healthcare system doesn't have all the answers.
No, I think we're seeing that in very many big ways right now, right? Like, yeah. And so you're way safer to start taking care of yourself than relying on somebody else or a system to take care of you. Because in America, that's not going to happen anytime soon, unfortunately. Right. And obviously that's stuff we need to work on too. So Tell me a little bit about, because entrepreneurs, for all entrepreneurs, there's a struggle sometimes, right? There are days where clients of mine and myself, we wake up, we're all jazzed to be business owners and life is great. And we have all this flexibility and our businesses are going great and all this stuff. And then there's days we wake up where, God, this sucks. Why don't I just get a job? Like, it would probably be easier in a lot of ways. What keeps you engaged to keep working on your business versus just throw in the towel and go get a job?
A lot of things. For me, a lot of it for me really boils down to I want to build my dream, not somebody else's.
Mm.
And the other part is value that I can contribute. So I felt like when I was doing my corporate America job that the only value I offered was completing a specific task. And in my self-employment, no matter which part of the journey I was on, there were all these different facets to the value I was offering somebody. And I was building my relationships and connections with people and therefore consistently hired because of all of the value, not because I could complete a task in a timely manner. That's something a lot of people can do, and that's a number on a list. And I personally am not comfortable with being a number on a list. I have a name, I have compassion, and there's a lot of things I have to offer people over and above the checking the things off the list that I can accomplish from a task perspective. And
so what's the feeling then that you get when you're like, let's say, you find a new client who's super interested in what you're doing and you're helping them with their health and they're making improvements and feeling better and you see this progress, like what happens to you on the inside? How are you feeling?
Oh, I get all like giddy, like I imagine like a little kid at Christmas or something. I just get all I'm just so excited for the potential and everything that this is going to invite into this person's world, that they get to now experience that they couldn't experience before. The alleviation of stress. Like I just get like right now, just talking about it, I get goosebumps from head to toe about it. I just get so jazzed to hear the smile in somebody's voice or the excitement in somebody's voice when they're having this, oh my gosh, this and this changed, or this and this feels so much better. I've been battling this for 15 years and now I'm not. The different things that I literally could walk around the house smiling all day and nothing could erase it. It's exciting to me.
Yeah, that's great. That's very cool. So it lights you up, it sounds like, and you can see it, right? Your eyes get big and you're animated, you get more animated. You're already animated, but you get you can feel the excitement even through a video call.
Well, that's good. Seriously, my husband's like, because if when I hang up the phone, hang up, old school, right? Hang up the phone.
Yeah.
When I put the phone down, my husband's like, client, something going good. And I'm like, yes, you will not believe what happened for so-and-so and their kid. They made all these milestones. They've been working on these milestones for 6 years and haven't hit a single one. And now they've hit 4 of them in 2 months, like,
That's awesome.
that's like, it's just awesome. Like I can't ask for anything else. If I had one of those a month, I wouldn't be able to quit.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Cool. All right. So let's go back to the challenging things and about being an entrepreneur. Because one of my favorite things is something like being a business owner or being an entrepreneur is going to push every button you have, right? So every issue that we have as individuals, being a business owner pushes those, or trying to grow our business pushes those and activates those buttons, and not always in a positive way. Sometimes it's in a positive way, but a lot of times it can be our negative buttons, right? Our fears and things like that. So for you, if you feel like sharing, what do you think is the number one thing that you are learning? And it may not be over yet, right? Maybe you're just in the process. I don't know. But what's the number one thing or a big thing you feel like you're learning about yourself as a result of being a business owner? And how have you seen yourself evolve through that? That's a very small question.
Yeah. And I've got a lot. I mean, okay. Challenges, negative self-talk, the programming from society and parents, and I'm not mad at my parents. This isn't a throw my parents under the bus kind of thing. This is, they did the best they could with what they have, right? Neither one of them are entrepreneurs. And so all of these things come up. Am I good enough? Am I worthy of the success? I have the old story of you have to work harder to be successful. All of those things are constant challenges for me. Self-judgment on whether or not I got enough done in a day. Where are more hours in a day? I can work the weekends too, wearing myself out because, and I'm the only one that can get something done. I'm the only one good enough to get the tasks done. So many of those kinds of things. I have to control every single little tiny piece of my business. All of those things are things that have at some point in time cycled through, and I thought they were gone and then come back.
Right. It's like, oh, that issue is back. I guess I'm not done with it yet. I know. I hate that. But do you find that when it comes back, it may be in a different place, or you're in a different place with it, so there's maybe the next layer to uncover or something like that?
I find that I shift through it faster or easier because now I see it. And maybe sometimes it's a day into it, sometimes it's 2 days into it, sometimes it's 15 minutes into it. It kind of depends on when it shows up and where it shows up.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely, now I kind of have that, I need to let the experts handle this piece. They know more about this than I do. Or I need to get help with this piece because I don't know all of the details on this. Or I'm too stuck in it to see anything outside of this straight line in front of me.
Okay. Yeah.
And
very cool.
Asking for help has been a challenge for me. Mm-hmm. However, over the last few years, it's gotten easier just with the own recognition of I have to take time out for me to take care of me. And I'm not doing that if I don't ask for help.
Right. You can't do everything, right? You have to. Yeah.
I mean, you can't be a quality of life warrior and then not figure out how to balance some of those things. You have to ask help.
Totally. Well, and I think you have said this to me before, where if that's what you're claiming you are, right, you have to show up in integrity. Because if you're not doing that stuff yourself, it probably shows through to other people in a way, energy or something like that. So when you, I guess, tell us a little bit about that. When you see yourself not doing the things that you're preaching, right, in your own life, how does that affect your business, and then vice versa?
So when I'm not finding good balance and if I'm not holding true to myself with taking care of my quality of life, whether it's my life work balance, whether it's taking time out from social media, whatever the case may be, I find that I start getting worked up, and I have this sort of ruminating energy underneath me that's kind of uncomfortable, and it starts to show up in my business with the way I respond to people. And when as soon as I recognize it happening, I'll either unplug, I'll go do something self-care related, something to get rid of the energy. So for example, Saturday, there was a training that I really wanted to go to, but I had that it was a rough week and things didn't go exactly as planned. And, this has been an interesting adjustment. Found out my husband was going to be home with me for the next couple of weeks, and I wasn't prepared for that. And I just finally said, you know what, I'm done. I unplugged from everything, social media. I got on my mountain bike. I rode for a couple hours, met up with a couple friends, had a bunch of great laughs. And I was able to just breathe and be present. And then I can show up for other people when I do that. And we have to recognize if we don't show up for ourselves, we cannot show up for anybody else.
That's so true. And then our businesses start to flourish much better,
Yes.
and without as much effort, I find, right?
Completely agree. It's very interesting when I'm in that ruminating space. My phone doesn't ring. I don't get emails for asking questions or inquiring about what I'm doing or any of those kinds of things. And I go for a mountain bike ride, and Sunday, Monday into this morning has all cascaded into phone calls and emails of people inquiring and asking and needing things to do, where the 3 or 4 days leading up to that was kind of like crickets, which in and of itself can lead you into that negative space.
Yeah.
So for me, yes, I definitely notice a difference of that law of attraction thing when I'm staying in alignment and integrity with what I fight for and what I value. My business grows easier, and it grows more in alignment with me.
Yeah, that's the big piece.
Because I had a business that was growing that was not in alignment with me, and that's not good either. So
yeah, that can get way out of control, right? Well, and then you get sucked into the money side of it, I'm guessing, right? And you're on the treadmill just because, well, I'm making so much money. Why would I stop now, or how do I even stop?
yes, that is exactly what happened.
And my personal belief is that this pandemic has happened to a lot of us to stop the treadmill. So it's sort of, there's that stop button on the treadmill where it stops like that. Usually you can turn the speed down,
Yes.
or you can hit that stop button, which is scary. I've done that on accident before. I was like, whoa. So, but that's what happened with this, I think, is that this pandemic just stopped the treadmill so fast. And people have been forced to stop and look at themselves because there's nothing else to do. All of a sudden there's crickets, it's quiet. And for a lot of us, that can be really scary because we use our busyness to hide from whatever we're unhappy about, right? And so when the treadmill stops, though, and the money stops flowing in, even if it is a very successful business, it makes us, or it can be a time where we can reevaluate. So this will pass. We will get through this, and we will start moving again, slower than we probably were, but it'll pick up. So can we start to plan now, what we want to create in the future, so that when we do start to pick up, we're going, like you're saying, in alignment with who we are and what we want to create versus, geez, my business is just running me. I'm not running it anymore. Have you been thinking about, are there things that have happened for you during this time that you're able to focus on and decide that you want to bring that forward with you?
Yes.
I'm guessing somebody was bothering you. Can I talk?
Yeah, my husband just got home and he's like, "Hey, puppy," and I'm like, "Oh my God."
It's totally fine. I didn't hear anything. You must have muted it. Fine. So,
Okay, good.
yes. Is there stuff that you're learning about yourself or about how you want your business to look as we do come online and we get faster?
Yes, I actually have been spending a lot of time with that. One of the things that I have been paying attention to is how full my calendar used to be and with what versus what my calendar looks like now. And I do not miss having a super busy calendar. Basically overloaded calendar is really what it had turned into. And so
was the overload, did it feel like you were being productive because you were so busy all the time? Like, was that part of it? Or
if I'm being completely honest, I think it was a type of numbing and to convince myself that busy is productive, when I know full well busy is not productive.
Right. But we feel like we are, right? Oh, I'm going to all these meetings. I'm doing all this stuff. Yeah.
I'm moving and shaking. I'm building my business. I really wasn't.
That's funny.
Yes, some good things came out of it. Yes, some business came out of it. Yes, I've made some great connections out of it. Enough that would justify that kind of busyness? No, there was a smarter, healthier way to do it. And that's what I'm focusing on now is what is my calendar and my schedule going to look like moving forward? I'm operating under, this is the new normal for a year. So if I have to do this for a year, what is going to help me have my balance and be that quality of life warrior and still be productive and focused and grow my business? Because that's ultimately, I also have a lot of passion around being an entrepreneur. That's, it feeds me, it gives me a lot of energy. Well, now that focus and all of that has shifted, I need to consider, what is that going to look like moving forward? And for me, it's not going to have coffees every single day and 5 or 6 a day or whatever. It's going to be utilizing the technology we have. And it's also going to be more intentional around, who am I building my relationships with and who do I want to spend my time with? Because I do believe that even on the other side of this, we're going to have smaller social circles for a while. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a process. And so I love to travel. So how do I fulfill some of that without being able to jump on a plane and go explore somewhere?
I really like that you've set your mind around, if this is true for a year, what do I need to do? Because certainly if it's not true, you're fine, right? You got lots of stuff you can go do. But if it is like this for a year, I think that's really smart, because then you get into that acceptance place, I think, much faster, it sounds like. And to me, that's where we stop suffering, right? We just accept the reality. Yeah, this sucks in a lot of ways, but there's also some good. So what do I change? How'd you come up with that? Like, where did that come from? Did you just like, one day you were like, oh my God, I just have to see this for a year?
Actually, it's been an interesting process of, it's that whole, you add value to people's lives in multifaceted areas when you're an entrepreneur or self-employed versus being at a job. I have a lot of people that call me just to help work through things that they're going through, and how am I supposed to visualize what the next month is supposed to look like? I don't know what the next month is supposed to look like. Well, our reality is we don't know if we're doing this for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, or 6 months. We don't know. And in talking to a friend, I just said, well, I think we should all just pretend this is how it is for the next year. Like, because if we tell ourselves it's 1 month, people
don't change anything.
We can suffer through it, right?
I keep hearing, all I want to do is get through it. That's what I keep hearing for people who think it's only going to be a month. Yeah. I just got to get through this. I'm like,
even at a month, even if we're free in a month, it's still different. It's still going to be different moving forward. It's not going to go back to what it was. So why not be mindful of the parts we want to come back and the parts we don't want to come back? And that's what I'm looking at, right? So that's why I'm saying, if I have to do this for a year, what do I need to be in a calm, peaceful, happy place? Well, travel always makes my list. Okay, well, I'm not traveling, so that has to come off the list. Well, so then I really started focusing more on, okay, what does self-care look like? What does my calendar look like? Who are the people I really want to spend the most amount of time with? What's my relationship with my husband like? How can I do better there? How can I just show up as a more intentional human? Like, all these things, like, I want to be this person who is very giving and philanthropic and all of that. Well, in my mind, philanthropic always took money. Well, there's other ways I can give that don't take money. So what are those? And I've just, not that it's perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I've just kind of started writing down, what does that look like? Because this is all I have for the next year. So if all I have is these 4 walls and the people under this roof and Zoom, and my mountain bike,
right,
what does the next year look like? Because now I feel so much more at peace and at ease, because I'm not stressing about the what ifs. I'm just assuming this is how it is. And yes, I had stress this morning of judgment, but the overall
normal stuff, right? Yeah,
that doesn't stop those things from creeping up. But the overall piece, the overall bigger picture for me now is, I'm not worried about when this is going to change or getting through it, because I'm figuring out what my best life looks like today and tomorrow, assuming this is going to be the next year.
I like that. And Action Coach, we talk a lot about B times do equals have. And that's one of the things I've been talking with clients a lot about is there's not a lot maybe you can work on your business right now for some there is, but for a lot of my clients, they're doing what they can, right, to try to keep things going. So there's not a lot, but there's certainly a lot that you can work on yourself. And that this whole pandemic thing, to me, pushes buttons in each of us individually that are our own issues to work on, right? So my fear or anger or frustration or sadness, whatever it is that comes up, is different from yours based on my history, but it's still my stuff to look at. And this thing just happens to be really magnifying that button right now. It's just pushing it really hard. And so can we use this time to actually turn and look at it if we do have the time, right? So I'm not doing a whole lot with my business. Maybe I do need to work on these personal issues. And if I can do that, and as we come out of this, wow, how much healthier will I be emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically? And as I get back into my business, like you were saying, how much more does that help me in my business, right? As I grow. So is that kind of what you've been looking at too, I guess, to be like who you need to become to create what you want to create moving forward?
Yes, because I feel like the more in alignment with myself that I can show up, the more whole, the more healthy I can be. And I mean that as a multifaceted health, that I'm going to attract those kind of people to me who either are those things or want those things.
Yeah.
And those are the people that are going to stay with me in my business. The people that either are already working on those things or the people that are trying to figure out working on those things and want a healthy health step process, something that they can do to get those things, then those people will stay here because they see that vision. So the more I can show up that way, the more I'll attract that to me.
Absolutely. I love that. That's very cool. All right. Well, I think this is good. I think I've gotten most of my questions answered. Thank you for participating. I really appreciate it. And I want you to share, like, if people are interested in talking to you one-on-one. I know you're an extrovert. You like to connect with people and on Zoom. Social distance.
Social distance.
Why do we call it social distance? It should be called physical distance. It's not really social distance, right? Like, this is social, but I don't know. So that's my pet peeve. Physical distance. So yeah, how do you, or if people want to talk to you about what you do and all that kind of stuff, how do people get in touch with you?
People can connect with me on Facebook. It's just Julie Brookins, and there's a picture of me with one of my black labs as my picture. You can connect with me there, either friend me or send me a message. People can email me, max life 24/7 @gmail.com. So mymaxlife24/7 @gmail.com. Or people can drop me a text message or give me a call, 303-956-9904. Those are the 3 easiest ways to get a hold of me. And I'm always happy to connect and see how I can support other people on their journey.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate it. Let's end with, how about what's your, let's see, word of gratitude for the day? You have one?
My word of gratitude for the day.
Something you're grateful for today?
I am grateful for the sunshine today.
I was just going to say that.
Because that's one of the things I love about living in Colorado after living 20 plus years in Michigan. I love the sunshine. And I am really thankful for the connections that I have with the people that are closest to me in my life, because we all need that soft space, that place to be 100% ourselves. And I'm so thankful that I have a variety of those connections in my life.
That's great. Thank you. Well, thanks for being with me. I appreciate it. You're a great embodiment of what I'm trying to help people see in themselves, right? Like, if you have a dream or you have something you want to do or create, figure out how to be brave and start doing it, just little bits at a time.
Yep, that's all we can do. Thank you. This was fun.
Good. I thought so too. All right. Well, have a great day.
Okay, thanks. You too.
So dare to love, dare to laugh. Take a stand, say yes to your path. Dare to shine, dare to fly. Make a scene. Dare to dream a bigger dream.